All right, get this. I was checking out this podcast from like 5 years in the future, 2025.
Oh, wow.
And it was all about habits for transforming your life.
Mm.
They had this list of 12 daily habits.
Okay.
And I don't know, it just felt like a cool little glimpse into the future of personal growth.
Yeah, like time traveling through podcasting.
Totally. So I thought, why not do a deep dive into these 12 habits and see what we can learn from our future selves?
I'm in. What kind of habits are we talking about?
Well, the first one is mindful mornings.
Mm-hmm.
I have to admit, my mornings are usually more like a frantic scramble than a peaceful meditation.
Oh, tell me about it.
But this podcast suggests that just 10 minutes of mindfulness can completely change the tone of your whole day.
10 minutes. That doesn't sound too bad.
Right. It's like hitting the pause button before the chaos begins.
I like that. So what does a mindful morning look like in practice?
Well, instead of immediately grabbing your phone and diving into emails or social media,
Yeah.
they suggest taking a few minutes to just be present.
Okay.
Maybe sit with a cup of coffee and focus on your breath.
Mm-hmm.
Or do some gentle stretching, paying attention to how your body feels.
I could see that making a big difference. It's like setting an intention for the day.
Exactly. It's about shifting from reactive mode to intentional mode.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay. The next habit is intentional hydration.
Okay, I think we all know we should be drinking more water.
Right, but this is about being mindful about your water intake,
Mm.
not just guzzling it down because you feel thirsty.
So what does drinking with intention actually look like?
Well, they suggest starting your day with a glass of water, ideally with a squeeze of lemon.
Ooh, I like that. It's refreshing and a little bit fancy.
Plus, the lemon adds a little flavor and a boost of vitamin C.
And it helps kickstart your digestion.
They also recommend keeping a reusable water bottle with you throughout the day as a visual reminder to stay hydrated.
I need that. I'm terrible at remembering to drink water.
Same here, so visual cues are key.
Makes sense.
All right, now this next habit is for all the lifelong learners out there. Micro-learning.
I'm intrigued already.
It's about dedicating just 15 minutes a day to learning something new.
15 minutes seems doable, even on a busy day.
Exactly. It's about consistency, not intensity.
So it's like those little bursts of learning add up over time.
That's the idea.
I like that. It takes the pressure off.
Totally. And there are so many ways to incorporate micro-learning into your day.
Like what?
You could listen to a podcast during your commute,
Mm-hmm.
or read a few pages of a book during lunch.
Oh, or watch a TED Talk.
Yeah. Even scrolling through educational content on social media can count.
True. As long as you're actually learning something.
Exactly.
And-
It's all about making the most of those little pockets of time.
I'm on board with that. What's next?
Okay, so this one is all about movement, but in a way that feels less intimidating than a hardcore workout.
I like where this is going.
The habit is daily movement, and the emphasis is on finding activities you actually enjoy.
That's key. If you hate running, you're not going to stick with it.
Right. So maybe you love dancing, or swimming, or
Yeah.
hiking,
Yeah.
or even just taking a brisk walk in nature.
It's about moving your body in a way that feels good.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be all at once.
Oh, I
You
see.
can break it up throughout the day.
Like taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Yes. Or parking further away from your destination so you have to walk a bit.
Little things like that can make a difference.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
all about being mindful of those opportunities to move.
I like that.
Okay, ready for the next one?
Hit me with it.
This one is a bit of a challenge in our tech-saturated world.
Okay.
It's digital minimalism.
I think we could all use a little more of that.
Seriously.
Hmm.
So this podcast suggests things like setting phone-free zones.
Like the bedroom.
Yes. Or the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
And also having designated times when you completely disconnect.
A digital detox.
Exactly.
It sounds scary, but also kind of liberating.
I know, right? It's about reclaiming control over your time and attention.
And not letting technology rule your life.
Totally. It's about being intentional about how and when you use technology.
Makes sense. What's the next habit on the list?
All right, this one is a game changer for anyone who wants to feel more organized and less stressed.
Okay, I'm all ears.
It's nightly planning.
I've heard of that.
It's about spending just a few minutes each evening planning for the next day.
So like making a to-do list.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. Or you could just mentally review your schedule and prioritize your tasks.
Even that little bit of planning can make a big difference.
It really can. It helps you feel more prepared and less overwhelmed.
And it can save you a lot of time and stress in the morning.
Absolutely. Okay, next up is a habit that often gets dismissed as a little fluffy,
Oh.
but I think it's actually incredibly powerful.
Okay, tell me more.
It's daily gratitude.
Ah, yes. The power of gratitude.
This podcast suggests writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day.
Doesn't have to be anything fancy, right?
Nope. It could be something as simple as a delicious cup of coffee,
Yeah.
or a sunny morning,
Mm-hmm.
or a kind word from a stranger.
It's about shifting your focus to the positive.
Exactly.
Oh.
And it really can make a difference in how you feel.
I believe that. What's next?
Okay, this next habit is all about food, but in a way that feels good and sustainable.
Okay, I'm interested. I'm always looking for ways to improve my diet.
Me too. So this habit is called nutrient-dense foods.
That sounds pretty self-explanatory.
It's about focusing on whole, unprocessed foods that provide sustained energy and essential nutrients.
So like fruits, vegetables, lean protein.
Exactly. And healthy fats like avocados and olive oil.
Sounds delicious and nutritious.
It is, and the best part is that it's not about deprivation or calorie counting.
That's a relief. Diets are the worst.
Totally agree. This is about nourishing your body with the good stuff.
I like that. What's next on the list?
Okay, this next habit is all about creating a sense of order and peace in your physical space.
Ooh, this one speaks to me. I'm a bit of a neat freak.
Me too. So this habit is called decluttering habit.
I'm already feeling calmer just hearing that.
The podcast suggests dedicating just 5 minutes a day to declutter.
5 minutes. That's it.
Yep. It's about making it a consistent practice rather than trying to tackle everything at once.
So you could just focus on one small area each day.
Exactly, like a drawer, a shelf, or a corner of your desk.
That feels way more manageable than trying to declutter my whole house.
Totally. Small steps, big impact.
I like that.
Okay, now this next habit is all about nurturing those human connections that are so essential for our well-being.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's called social connections.
In a world that's increasingly digital, this feels more important than ever.
You're so right. And this podcast emphasizes the importance of both online and offline connections.
So it's not just about having a ton of followers on social media.
Nope. It's about having genuine, meaningful relationships with people you care about.
That makes sense.
So it could be scheduling regular phone calls with friends who live far away,
Yeah.
or making an effort to connect with people in your local community.
Like joining a club or volunteering.
Exactly. Or even just striking up conversations with people you meet at the coffee shop.
It's about putting yourself out there and making those connections.
Totally. Okay, ready for the next habit.
Bring it on.
This one is for anyone who's ever set a goal and then kind of let it fizzle out.
Oh, I've been there many times.
Me too.
Eh.
So this habit is all about accountability and motivation.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's called progress tracking.
I've heard that tracking your progress can be really helpful.
It can be a game changer. It helps you stay focused, motivated, and on track.
What are some ways to track progress?
There are so many options. You could use a journal, a habit tracking app, or even a simple spreadsheet.
Okay, so whatever works for you.
Exactly. The important thing is to find a system that you'll actually stick with.
Makes sense. What's the last habit on the list?
All right, this one is all about prioritizing the one thing that often gets sacrificed when we're busy and stressed.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
It's quality sleep.
Ah, yes. The elusive quality sleep.
The podcast emphasizes making sleep a non-negotiable priority.
Easier said than done, right?
It's gonna be tough, I know.
Especially in our always-on culture.
But it's so important for our physical and mental health.
No argument there. So, what are some tips for getting better sleep?
Well, they suggest creating a consistent sleep schedule.
Going to bed and waking up around the same time each day.
Exactly. Even on weekends.
That can be tough.
I know, but it helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
Okay, makes sense. What else?
They also recommend creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Like what?
Maybe taking a warm bath, or reading a book,
Yeah.
or listening to calming music.
Anything to help you wind down.
Exactly. And they emphasize avoiding screen time in the hour or two before bed.
The blue light can really mess with your sleep.
It can. So it's about creating a tech-free buffer zone before you hit the pillow.
Okay, I think I can handle that.
Awesome. So there you have it. 12 habits for the future, all designed to help you transform your life.
This has been a fascinating glimpse into the future of personal growth.
I agree. And what I find most intriguing is that these habits are all incredibly accessible.
Yeah, they're not about making drastic changes or following some crazy regimen.
Exactly. They're small, simple things that anyone can incorporate into their daily life.
I like that. It feels empowering, not overwhelming.
Totally. It's about making those small, consistent, efforts that, over time, can lead to big shifts in your well-being.
I'm excited to dive deeper into some of these habits and see how we can apply them to our own lives.
Me too.
Welcome back to our deep dive into these 12 habits from the future.
We're ready to unpack these habits even more and see how we can actually, integrate them into our lives.
Exactly. Last time we just kind of scratched at the surface.
Right. So let's revisit mindful mornings. And imagine our listener, they've maybe hit snooze a couple of times.
We've all been there.
But instead of reaching for their phone first thing,
Yeah.
they take those few minutes just for themselves.
It's about reclaiming those first moments of the day.
Right, exactly.
Instead of letting the outside world rush in, you're creating that buffer.
That pause, yeah.
So the source material suggests 10 minutes can make a difference.
10 minutes, yeah.
But honestly, I think even 5 minutes can be a good starting point.
5 minutes, totally. So what could our listener do during those 5 minutes?
Well, meditation is always a good option, even if you're a beginner.
Okay.
Find a quiet spot, close your eyes, and just focus on your breath. There are also tons of guided meditation apps out there.
Oh, yeah. Those can be really helpful.
Especially if you find your mind wandering.
Right. It's hard to stay focused sometimes.
But what if our listener isn't into meditation? What are some other options?
Well, journaling can be a great way to, clear your head
Yeah.
and set intentions for the day.
Okay.
You can just free write whatever comes to mind. Or you could use prompts like, what am I grateful for today?
Oh, I like that.
Or what's one thing I want to accomplish?
It's like giving yourself a little pep talk before the day even starts.
Exactly. And even something as simple as enjoying a cup of coffee or tea in silence
Yeah.
can be really grounding.
Just being fully present in that moment.
Exactly.
The key here is to experiment and find what works for you.
Right. Totally.
It's about creating that space for yourself, that pause button before the day takes over.
I love that pause button.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to intentional hydration. I know, we all know we should drink more water, but how do we make it a habit?
Right. It's easy to forget throughout the day.
It is.
Especially when we're busy.
Totally. And remember that study we mentioned?
About how even mild dehydration can affect our brains.
Yes.
So, starting your day with a glass of water is crucial.
Okay.
Ideally with a squeeze of lemon.
Ooh, lemon water. I like it.
It not only rehydrates you after sleep, but it also aids digestion.
And gives you that little boost of vitamin C.
Exactly.
Okay. What else can we do to stay hydrated throughout the day?
Well, keeping a reusable water bottle with you is a good visual reminder.
Oh, visual reminders. Yes. I'm all about those.
Me too. They really help.
I've also seen those water bottles with the time markers on them.
Oh, yeah. Those are cool.
Have you tried one of those?
I haven't, but I've heard good things.
It's like breaking down your hydration goals into smaller chunks throughout the day.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay, moving on to micro-learning.
One of my favorites.
I know this one is so good. 15 minutes a day dedicated to learning.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
It seems so doable.
Right. But does it really make a difference?
I think it does. It's about consistency, not intensity, remember?
Right, small efforts over time.
Exactly.
So what are some ways our listener could use those 15 minutes effectively?
Well, podcasts are a great option.
Oh, yeah, of course. Podcasts.
You can listen to them while you're commuting, exercising, even doing tours.
That's what I do. Multitasking at its finest.
Exactly. Audiobooks are another good option.
Love audiobooks.
You could also dedicate those 15 minutes to reading a few pages of a book.
Yeah.
Or an article online, or even watching a short educational video.
Oh, TED Talks.
Yes. TED Talks are great. There are also platforms like Khan Academy and Coursera.
So many options.
The point is, there are so many ways to fit in those little bursts of learning throughout your day.
It's all about being intentional with those pockets of time.
Exactly. Make them count.
Okay. Next up is daily movement.
All right, let's get moving.
I like how this one is framed. It's not about intense workouts or hitting the gym every day,
Yeah, it's more approachable.
right? It's about finding enjoyable ways to move your body.
And incorporating movement into your everyday life.
Exactly. So what are some examples of daily movement that our listener could try?
If they have a dog, taking it for a longer walk is a great option.
Okay, yeah, that's a good one.
Or if they enjoy dancing, putting on some music and dancing around the house.
I love that. Just have a little dance party.
It's a fun way to get your heart rate up.
And you don't even need any special equipment.
Exactly. You can also do things like taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
Oh yeah, the stairs. I always forget about those.
And parking further away from your destination so you have to walk a bit more.
It's about making those little choices throughout the day.
Right. Those little choices can add up over time.
And they can make a big difference in your overall health and well-being.
Okay, let's tackle digital minimalism.
Ooh, this one can be tough.
It can, especially in today's world.
We're so connected to our devices.
Right, it's easy to feel like we're constantly plugged in.
So how do we start setting boundaries with technology?
Well, I think it's important to start small.
Okay.
Choose one area where you want to reduce your tech use.
Like social media.
That could be a good one. Or maybe it's creating a phone-free hour each evening before bed.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or designating meal times as tech-free zones.
No phones at the dinner table.
Exactly.
What about those digital detox days you mentioned earlier?
Oh, this could be really powerful.
Okay.
It's a chance to completely unplug or at least limit your tech use to the essentials.
Yeah, it sounds scary, but also kind of exciting.
It is. You might be surprised at how much you enjoy the break.
It's like giving your brain a chance to reset.
Exactly. And it can help you appreciate the simple things in life more.
That makes sense. Okay, what about notifications?
Oh, those are a big one.
I feel like my phone is constantly buzzing.
Mine too. It's so distracting.
So how do we tame those digital distractions?
Well, turning off non-essential notifications is a game changer.
Okay, I think I can do that.
You'd be surprised at how much calmer you feel.
Yeah, I bet.
You can also try grouping your notifications together.
So you're not constantly being interrupted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there are also apps that can help you track and limit your screen time.
Oh yeah, those can be helpful,
They can make you more aware of how much time you're actually spending on your devices.
which is probably more than we realize.
Probably.
Okay, let's move on to nightly planning.
One of my favorite productivity hacks.
It's a good one. Even just a few minutes of planning can make such a difference.
It can. It helps you feel more organized and prepared for the day ahead.
And it can save you so much time and stress in the morning.
Totally. So, what are some different planning methods that our listener could try?
Well, some people swear by detailed to-do lists.
Yeah, those can be helpful.
Others prefer a more general overview of their day.
Like just jotting down their top priorities.
Exactly. And some people find it helpful to use a planner.
Or a digital calendar.
Yeah, there's so many options.
The key is to find a system that works for you.
And that you'll actually stick with.
Exactly. The goal is to create a sense of clarity and purpose going into your day.
So you're not just reacting to whatever comes up.
Right. It's about being proactive instead of reactive.
Okay, let's talk about daily gratitude.
This one is so powerful.
It is. But it can be easy to dismiss it as a little,
Fluffy.
yeah, fluffy.
But it's so much more than that.
It is. There's actual science behind it.
There is. Studies have shown that gratitude can actually change our brains.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, it can increase activity in areas associated with happiness and positive emotions.
So it's not just about feeling grateful, it's about actually rewiring our brains for the better.
Exactly.
The Future podcast suggests writing down 3 things you're grateful for each day.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have to be like big life-changing events?
Not at all. It can be anything.
Like what?
A delicious meal, a sunny day, a kind word from a stranger.
Okay.
The simple things.
It's about appreciating those little moments of joy.
And the more we practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes.
It's like building a muscle of positivity.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to nutrient-dense foods.
All right, time to fuel up.
I love that this habit isn't about restrictive diets or calorie counting.
It's about nourishing your body with wholesome foods.
Exactly. Foods that make you feel good.
So what are some examples of nutrient-dense foods?
Well, think fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Lean protein sources like fish, chicken, beans, lentils. Healthy fats like avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil.
This all sounds delicious.
It is. And it's about choosing whole grains over refined grains whenever possible.
So it's about making smarter choices, not about depriving yourself.
Right. It's about balance and sustainability.
I like that. It's a way of eating that you can stick with long term.
Totally. Okay, next up is decluttering habit.
Ah, decluttering. My favorite and least favorite thing.
I know what you mean. I love the feeling of a clean and organized space.
Me too. It's so peaceful.
But the process of getting there can be overwhelming.
It can be, especially if you have a lot of stuff.
Totally. So, the Future podcast suggests dedicating just 5 minutes a day to decluttering.
5 minutes, that's it.
Yep, it's about making it a consistent practice rather than trying to tackle everything at once.
So you could just focus on one small area each day.
Exactly. Like a drawer, a shelf, or a corner of your desk.
Okay, that feels much more manageable.
Right. Small steps, big impact.
Totally. And it's a great way to build momentum.
Once you start decluttering one area, you might be motivated to tackle another.
I can see that happening.
Okay, moving on to social connections.
Let's get connected.
In today's world, it's easy to feel disconnected, even when we're surrounded by people.
Yeah, it's like we're more connected than ever online.
Right.
But sometimes that comes at the expense of real-life connections.
And those real-life connections are so important for our well-being.
They are. So how do we strengthen those social ties?
Well, the Future podcast suggests making an effort to connect with people both online and offline.
Okay, so it's not about choosing one over the other.
Right, it's about finding a balance.
What are some specific ways to connect with people online?
You could schedule regular phone calls or video chats with friends and family who live far away.
Oh, I love that idea. It's like having a virtual coffee date.
It is. Yeah. And it's a great way to stay in touch with loved ones.
What about offline connections?
You could join a club or group that interests you.
Okay.
Or volunteer for a cause you care about.
Those are great ways to meet new people with shared interests.
Exactly. And even just striking up conversations with people you meet in your everyday life.
Like at the grocery store or the coffee shop.
Yeah. It's about being open to those little moments of connection.
I like that. It's about putting yourself out there.
Okay, next up is progress tracking.
I'm a big fan of tracking. It helps me stay accountable.
Me too. It's a great way to see how far you've come.
And to identify areas where you might need to adjust your approach.
So, what are some effective ways to track progress?
There are so many options these days. You can use a traditional journal.
Yep.
Or a habit tracking app. Or even a simple spreadsheet.
The key is to find a method that you enjoy and that you'll actually stick with.
Exactly. I personally love using a bullet journal.
Oh, those are so cool.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to try bullet journaling.
It's a great way to combine creativity with organization.
But whatever method you choose, the important thing is to make it a regular practice.
Right. Consistency is key.
And finally, we've reached the last habit on our list: quality sleep.
Sleep, the holy grail of well-being.
We all know we need it.
But it's often the first thing to go when we're stressed or busy.
It is. It's so easy to sacrifice sleep for work or other commitments.
So how do we make sleep a non-negotiable priority?
Well, the Future podcast emphasizes the importance of consistency.
Okay, like with everything else.
Exactly. Aim for 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep each night.
Okay.
And stick to a regular sleep schedule as much as possible, even on weekends.
That can be tough.
I know, but it helps regulate your body's natural sleep-wake cycle.
And it can make a big difference in your overall energy levels and mood.
It really can. They also recommend creating a relaxing bedtime routine.
Ooh, I love a good bedtime routine.
Me too.
Yeah.
What are some things our listener could include in their routine?
A warm bath, a good book, calming music, even a few minutes of meditation.
All those things signal to your body that it's time to wind down.
Exactly. And it's important to avoid screen time in the hour or two before bed.
Oh yeah, that blue light can be a real sleep killer.
It can. So create that tech-free buffer zone before you hit the pillow.
Okay, we've covered all 12 habits from the future.
That was quite a journey.
It was, and what I find so fascinating is that these habits are all interconnected.
They are. They touch on so many different aspects of our well-being.
It's not about focusing on one area in isolation. It's about taking a holistic approach.
Exactly. And what's really exciting is that these habits are all incredibly accessible.
Yes. They're not about making drastic changes or following some crazy regimen.
It's about making small, sustainable changes that can have a big impact over time.
I love that. It feels empowering, not overwhelming.
Exactly. And it's a reminder that we all have the power to create a life that feels good and fulfilling.
Totally. It's about taking ownership of our well-being and making those conscious choices that lead to a happier, healthier life. All right, welcome back to our deep dive into these future habits.
It's been quite a journey, right? Exploring these 12 habits for Transform 2025.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, from mindful mornings to quality sleep and everything in between.
I'm curious, what are some of the key takeaways that have resonated most with you?
You know, what really stands out to me is the power of consistency. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up each day and making those small efforts, even when you don't feel like it.
Absolutely. It's like we were talking about earlier, it's compound interest, but for your well-being. Those little deposits of effort over time can really add up.
And another thing that's been on my mind is intentionality. These habits aren't just about going through the motions. They're about making conscious choices about how we want to live our lives.
Exactly. It's about moving away from that autopilot mode and really stepping into a more deliberate and empowered way of being.
You know, and I also appreciate that these habits encourage a holistic approach to well-being. It's not about isolating one area of our lives. It's about recognizing how everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
Our physical health, our mental clarity, our emotional resilience, even our social connections.
You hit the nail on the head. These habits touch on so many different facets of our lives, creating a ripple effect that goes far beyond any single practice.
So for our listener who's feeling inspired, let's say they're ready to embark on their own transformation journey with these habits, what would be your top tips for making them stick?
Well, first and foremost, I'd say start small. You don't have to overhaul your entire life overnight.
Okay.
Pick one or two habits that really resonate with you and focus on incorporating those first.
That makes sense. It's about setting yourself up for success by starting with manageable steps.
Exactly. And then be patient with yourself. Building new habits takes time and effort. There will be days when you fall off track.
Oh yeah, we've all been there.
And that's totally okay. The key is to just be kind to yourself, acknowledge those missteps, and just start fresh the next day.
Progress over perfection.
Exactly. And remember, what works for one person might not work for another. Don't be afraid to experiment and adjust as needed. The goal is to find what feels good and sustainable for you.
And I think it's also important to celebrate those small wins along the way.
Yeah.
Like every time you successfully incorporate a new habit into your routine, just acknowledge that progress. Give yourself some credit.
I love that. Celebrating those wins helps to really reinforce those positive changes you're making. And it keeps you motivated to continue on your journey.
And one more thing, don't underestimate the power of community and support. Surrounding yourself with people who encourage and inspire you can make all the difference.
Oh, absolutely. Sharing your journey with others, whether it's friends, family, an online community, can provide that accountability, support, and motivation when you need it most.
I think we've covered it all. Any final thoughts for our listener before we wrap up?
I'd just say embrace this journey with a sense of curiosity and adventure. It's about exploring what works best for you and creating a life that truly feels aligned with your values and aspirations.
You know, it's not about achieving some distant ideal of perfection. It's about taking those small, consistent steps towards becoming the best version of yourself.
That's the heart of it. This is your journey, and you're the one in the driver's seat.
This has been such an inspiring deep dive into the future of personal growth.
We hope you've enjoyed this little time-traveling exploration and that you feel empowered to start incorporating some of these habits into your own life.
Remember, even small changes, when done consistently, can have a ripple effect, transforming your life in ways you might not even imagine.
So keep learning, keep growing, and keep diving deep.
Until next time.